know what they'll do. You don't know what they'll do. You don't know what they will say. You ever had somebody like that? That you're almost embarrassed to be around them because you don't know in a situation what they're going to say? You know, you're in a restaurant somewhere and yeah, you know, the service is not that great. And it's, you know, and you understand it. And all of a sudden your friend will say something just so crude. You know, and you're going, oh my goodness, will you shut up? What's the deal? You know, they're a time bomb just waiting to go off. Some actually don't care about you. I was watching last night, Channel 10. Yes, I was watching Channel 10. And I'll tell you why. Because one of my favorite British comedies comes on at 10 o'clock, Are You Being Served? Now, if you've never watched that, you need to go home and watch it at least once. But anyway, so before Are You Being Served came on, they had a little history piece about Adolf Hitler. And they talked about Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin, who came together and they said, we are going to divide Poland. And he said, you know what? Adolf Hitler said, we will take this part of Poland. And he said, Stalin, you can have this part. And they're going, hey, this is great. This is wonderful. And they began to talk about that all of a sudden Stalin was at like a cottage out in the woods, kind of like a retreat area. All of a sudden, when he got the message that Adolf Hitler was now overtaking Stalin's army, and hundreds and thousands of his troops were being killed and were being taken as prisoner. And the historian said the only thing that was heard from Stalin on the other end of the radio was Stalin's breathing, because he absolutely could not realize. And he made this statement that I thought was so incredibly powerful, especially with what we're talking about tonight. They said this: isn't it amazing, the one person that Stalin chose to trust in his life turned out to be someone he could not trust. And then they said Adolf Hitler had no desire to do what he said he was going to do. And I thought, how often do we have people in our lives that may say one thing and do another? Let me give you an example, a modern day example that's worth about $40 million. You see, as many of you know, those that we hang out with can cost you. How many of you, and you don't have to say who, what, when, or where, but how many of you have been kicked out of someplace because of something your friend has done? Come on, my hand is up, okay? I've been kicked out. You know, all of a sudden, you're at a place, you're at this, and now I'm worried because Amy and Casey just looked at each other. That's kind of scary. So we'll have a time of confession afterwards. But maybe you're doing something, and then okay, fine, everybody just got out of here. Everybody out of the restaurant, or everybody out of this place. Well, unfortunately, guilt by association is a very real part of life. I want you to understand that tonight. Guilt by association is very part. The actions of those close to you can cost you. Matter of fact, they can even cost you $75 million. About 2 years ago, there was a man who was better known as Sean Carter. I mean, who knows who Sean Carter is? Jay-Z. Now, here's what is interesting, is that Jay-Z, some of the men that were around Jay-Z, his entourage, his posse, his boys, you name, whatever you want to call them, it's the guys that he brought around him. Well, what happened, he was on tour with this man right here, who in my opinion is kind of strange to begin with, but there's a guy by the name of R. Kelly. Robert Kelly's his real name. But they were on tour. And somehow, one of Jay-Z's guys kind of got into it with R. Kelly and actually pepper sprayed him. Okay? Pepper sprayed him. And what is interesting is that now R. Kelly was suing Jay-Z for $75 million. $75 million. Matter of fact, here's a copy of the lawsuit that was actually filed. Now think about it. $75 million. Go ahead, Brock, and run it forward. $75 million. Simply because one person decided to do something. One person decided to do something really stupid. And let me tell you something. This person that did it wasn't too smart. I mean, let me show you a little picture of this. This gentleman right here. Tyron L. Smith. Because of one stupid act, could cost Jay-Z $75 million. $75 million. Why? All because of one action. One action. And it really wasn't, I mean, when we think about things, it really wasn't that bad. But $75 million. So, what can we learn? What can we learn from this really bizarre tale of the wonderful life in the rap world? Let me show you a couple of things that I want you to remember. The actions of those who are close to you can damage you. They really can. You may say, oh no, as long as I don't participate, as long as I don't do, let me tell you something. Guilt by association. Let me tell you the greatest business lesson you can learn. And please hear me. Okay? And if you don't believe me, you ask anybody that's in hiring, anybody that is in the corporate world, that if you go and you apply for a job, and someone else is in that job, and they say, oh, well, wait a minute, they applied for a job. Well, let me tell you, I know that person hangs out with this person, and I know this person's pretty unreliable. Matter of fact, this person's pretty scummy. Now, they may never tell you, I will not hire you, but I can tell you that will affect their decision. It really will. You say, well, that's not fair. Life is not fair. Okay? If you think life is fair, then I need to turn the alarm clock on so you can wake up. Life is not fair. Okay? Life, it has things that we deal with. But please understand something. The people that we hang out with, the people that we deal with. You see, the actions of those that are closest to you can tarnish your reputation simply by association. Let me give you a perfect example. Let's just say that on the news, you see a story of a man. And this man is known as someone who cheats churches. And someone who has scammed churches. And all of a sudden, you are at Rafferty's. Okay? And you're sitting at Rafferty's and you look across the restaurant and oh look, there's Eddie. And he is sitting by that guy that we saw on the news. That's the jerk, the scammer. Oh my goodness. Now, there may be one or two of you in here who say, oh, I know he's witnessing to him. I know Pastor Eddie, he's witnessing to him. But now the rest of you people, you're saying, oh, what's going on? I wonder what's going on. Oh my goodness. Surely, he is. And then all of a sudden say, you know, I knew something. I knew it. I knew it. And then all of a sudden the next week I come to you and say, hey, I've got a new investment you want to be a part of? You're looking at me like, get away from me. I'm going, why? What's the deal? And you're going, well, I saw who you were with. Now, think about it. Whether I ever did anything with that person or not, me hanging out with them tarnishes the relationship.